The cameras flashed. The crowd froze. A gavel came down in London, echoing all the way to a mansion in Montecito. And just like that, Prince Harry's legal fight ends with a massive $67 million blow. Welcome to StarScope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
It really is just the ultimate dramatic climax to a story that's been building for, years at this point.
Oh, absolutely. And today we are taking you on a deep dive that synthesizes this massive stack of reports we've got from legal, royal, and entertainment sources.
Right, there's a lot to unpack.
There totally is. We're unpacking the staggering conclusion of Prince Harry's war on the British press, the honestly shocking financial realities of his Montecito lifestyle, and the emotional royal rejection that accompanied his latest UK trip.
Yeah, and we need to look at this holistically because this isn't just, a tabloid headline. We're looking at a story that operates on three really distinct, highly complex levels. You've got the brutal legal reality of the High Court, the terrifying financial fallout of modern celebrity litigation, and a deeply personal, almost inescapable family tragedy.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We have to start with the headline that absolutely broke the internet this week.
The big one.
Right. Prince Harry, alongside 6 high-profile celebrities, faces a devastating $67 million legal bill after a massive court defeat.
Yeah, and to really grasp the magnitude of that number and why this defeat is so crushing, you kind of have to understand the momentum he had going into this room.
He's been at this for a while.
Exactly. For 15 years, the UK phone hacking scandal has been this dark cloud over British media. We're talking over £1 billion paid out by publishers in damages and legal fees since, the early 2000s.
Wow. Over $1 billion.
Yeah, it's staggering. And Prince Harry has publicly described his fight against the British media as his life's work. He literally called it a mission to slay dragons.
Slay dragons? And he had the receipts to back up that confidence, didn't he?
He absolutely did.
Because he previously won a very substantial judgment against the Mirror Group, where a judge actually found widespread phone hacking. And he also settled, at the last minute, with News Group newspapers, the publisher of The Sun, and secured an apology.
Right, he had victories.
So, from his perspective, he's 2 for 2. He's marching into this lawsuit against Associated Newspapers, which publishes the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday, and he's feeling invincible.
But the stakes here were significantly higher, primarily because he wasn't alone. He was the figurehead of this superstar group of claimants.
Oh, right, it was a whole group.
Yeah, you had Sir Elton John, his husband David Furnish, actresses Elizabeth Hurley and Sadie Frost, and you had Baroness Doreen Lawrence, who is a highly respected figure in the UK as the mother of murdered teenager Stephen Lawrence.
And the allegations they brought, it sounded like something out of a spy thriller. They sued over claims of unlawful information gathering stretching from 1993 all the way to 2011.
It was a huge timeline.
Right. And they were just saying, look, you wrote mean things about us. They alleged the publisher bugged their cars, tapped their landlines, intercepted live voicemails, and even paid off corrupt police officers to get scoops.
Which brings us to the courtroom. Because after an exhausting 11-week trial, the entire mountain of allegations just completely collapsed.
It falls apart.
Totally. Justice Matthew Nicklin delivers this colossal 436-page ruling that throws the claimant's case out entirely.
I read through the summaries of this 436-page document, and it is a bloodbath.
Oh, it really is.
But I want to stop on one specific phrase the judge used, because I think it's the key to the whole thing. The judge said, suspicion is not proof.
Right. Suspicion is not proof.
Explain that to me. Because if a newspaper prints a highly private detail about your life that you only told your best friend over the phone, isn't that, proof they tapped the phone?
It feels like it should be, right? But in the High Court, it's just not. The legal crux here is the burden of proof in UK civil litigation. The claimants essentially walked into court with a stack of old newspaper articles and said, look at these private details. The paper can't definitively prove they got this from a legitimate legal source today. Therefore, the information must have been obtained illegally.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and Justice Nicklin ruled that the court simply cannot operate on reverse-engineered assumptions. Just because you highly suspect an illegal method was used doesn't relieve you of the burden of actually proving how they did it, who did it, and when.
And their attempt to prove the how and who completely self-destructed because of one guy, right? Gavin Burrows.
Oh, man, this is where the case falls off a cliff.
Yeah.
So Gavin Burrows is a private investigator. He was positioned by the claimant's legal team as their, star whistleblower. The narrative was that he was going to take the stand and lay out exactly how the dark arts were practiced for the male titles.
But he didn't do that.
Far from it. Before the trial even reached its conclusion, Burroughs completely disowned his own witness statement.
Wait, really?
Yeah, he went on the record claiming the statement was a forgery and categorically denied carrying out any illegal activity for Associated Newspapers.
Wait, how does a forged statement make it into a multi-million-dollar high court trial? That sounds insane.
It is insane, but it highlights the really murky world of gathering evidence in these legacy media cases. You often have private investigators or intermediaries who might initially say things they think lawyers want to hear, or who get caught up in the momentum of a massive class action style lawsuit.
Right, the pressure is on.
Exactly. But when the reality of sitting in a witness box under oath sets in, stories change. Once Burroughs flipped, the judge noted the claimant's case was comprehensively undermined. They lost their smoking gun.
The fallout from this ruling has been explosive. I mean, Harry and Doreen Lawrence released a joint statement calling the verdict the complete and obvious whitewash.
Yeah, they are not backing down quietly.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But the response from the Daily Mail side, you have to look at this. Because it wasn't just a dry legal victory lap.
Yeah.
It was brutally personal.
You're talking about Paul Dacre's statement.
Yes. Former Daily Mail editor Paul Dacre released a video statement. And he didn't just defend the journalism. He called the lawsuit a conspiracy to destroy a paper.
Wow.
And then he takes dead aim at Harry, referring to him as a confused and angry young man. And to just twist the knife, he brings up Harry's mother. Dacre says Princess Diana actually liked the Mail, claiming we were her paper.
Oh, that is a highly calculated strike.
Right.
Because Harry's entire animosity toward the press is so deeply rooted in the trauma of his mother's death. For the former editor of the paper he just tried to take down to publicly assert that Diana was an ally of that very institution, it strikes right at the emotional core of Harry's crusade. It's designed to destabilize his narrative.
It feels so visceral. And looking at the sheer scale of this defeat, I keep thinking about how he approached this whole thing. It feels like Harry went all in on a poker hand just because he felt in his gut that the publisher was bluffing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like he was so utterly convinced of his own suspicion and his own righteousness.
I see the poker comparison, but let me push back on that slightly.
Okay, hit me.
In a casino, if you go all in on a bad read, you just lose your chips and you walk away. In the British High Court, you don't just lose your chips. You have to pay for the casino's electric bill, the dealer's salary, and the drinks of the guy who beat you.
Wow. Exactly. The judge needs to see the actual cards. You can't just slide the multi-million-dollar pot over based on righteous indignation.
No, you really can't.
And the penalty for losing that hand is what brings us to the $67 million figure. The reports estimate the total legal costs for both sides are $50 million. Former costs Judge Colin Campbell weighed in and warned that Associated Newspapers will likely push for indemnity costs.
Right. Which is a big deal.
Is that just a fancy legal way of saying he has to pay the winner's lawyer fees, or is this a specific penalty?
It is a very specific punitive measure. Normally, the loser pays the winner's fees, but the court assesses them to ensure they were proportionate. Like, the judge trims the fat.
Makes sense.
But an indemnity costs order is used when a judge feels a party's conduct in bringing or fighting the case was outside the norm, perhaps vexatious or based on incredibly weak grounds.
Oh, so the punishment.
Exactly. If indemnity costs are granted, the publisher only has to prove their costs were reasonably incurred. It shifts the burden, making it far easier for the Mail to recover a massive percentage of that $67 million directly from the claimants.
The sources mentioned something else that caught my eye. They said Harry is personally on the hook unless he has after-the-event insurance.
Wow, yes. AEE insurance.
Hold on. You can buy insurance for a lawsuit after you've already started it. How does that even work?
It sounds totally counterintuitive, but yeah, AEE insurance is a real thing in the UK legal system. You buy it after a dispute arises to cover the risk of having to pay the other side's legal costs if you lose.
But there has to be a catch.
Oh, there is. The premiums are astronomical, and insurers will only write the policy if they believe you have a very strong chance of winning. Given how aggressively Harry pursued this and how it completely fell apart, it's highly questionable whether any policy would cover a catastrophic loss of this magnitude.
And that's not even the wildest part. Just wait until we break down what happened when he asked his dad for a place to stay. If you're loving these Hollywood and royal twists, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead in this deep dive.
So we have to transition from the courtroom in London to the reality of life in California. Because a financial hit of this size shatters a very specific illusion that surrounds the Sussexes.
The unlimited wealth myth. We're looking at a scenario where their lavish Montecito lifestyle is just violently colliding with these mounting legal bills. People assume that because he is a prince, the bank account has no bottom.
Right, that it's just infinite.
Exactly. But the reports outline a terrifyingly high monthly overhead.
Let's look at the numbers. When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stepped back from royal duties in 2020, they lost taxpayer-funded security and the sovereign grant.
Which was huge.
Huge. They took on an estimated $5 million a year just for private security. You have to pay for 247 rotations, advanced teams, armored vehicles, then add the upkeep of a $14 million Montecito estate, a full staff, private travel, and the immense cost of maintaining a global media and philanthropic brand.
It adds up fast. Royal expert Kinsey Schofield pointed out the stark reality of this lawsuit loss. Even if they had some form of ADE insurance, a $67 million liability likely blows right past any coverage limit.
Oh, without a doubt.
Someone eventually has to write a personal check to make up the difference. And this isn't even his only legal bill this month.
Not at all. The compound effect is staggering. He was just ordered to pay nearly $61,000, about 48,000 pounds to the Mail on Sunday, for a totally separate libel case regarding his security arrangements.
And he also just lost a massive battle with the Home Office over his UK security, which means he's been ordered to pay 90% of the government's legal costs for defending his challenge.
Which brings us to the whispers from palace insiders and royal reporters. They are openly discussing a financial downward spiral. The reality of their business model is becoming apparent.
It reminds me of a massive tech startup.
How so?
Well, when they first launch, they bring in blockbuster revenue, like the massive Netflix deal, the record-breaking advance for the memoir Spare. Everyone is talking about them. The valuation is sky high.
Okay, yeah.
But their burn rate, the amount of cash they are burning through every single month just to keep the lights on and the security guards paid, is astronomically high. One bad quarter, or in this case, one spectacularly lost lawsuit, threatens the entire operation. You start wondering if the runway is running out.
I see the startup comparison, but let's put that in perspective for a second. A tech startup is burning cash to build a product that will generate future revenue. Harry is burning cash to litigate his past.
Oh, that's a good point.
There is no product at the end of this runway other than a court victory and personal vindication. The initial burst of capital from telling their story was immense, but it's a finite resource. If it's being continuously drained by high-stakes litigation, that business model is fundamentally unsustainable.
That is a terrifying realization. A financial hit of this size changes the conversation overnight. But the money might not even be the most painful part of this week. But wait till you hear what came next. Later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming, a family rejection that happened at the exact worst moment.
Yeah, this brings us to the logistical and emotional reality of his recent trip to the UK. Harry was denied at the gates, he loses his taxpayer-funded security, and he gets locked out of Buckingham Palace.
Before we get to the palace locking him out, we really need to clarify this Home Office battle. The reports mention he was fighting a committee called REVS. What exactly is REV, and why did they take his security away?
So REVSEX stands for the Royal and VIP Executive Committee. They are the body within the UK Home Office that determines who gets taxpayer-funded police protection.
Okay, got it.
When Harry stepped back as a working royal and moved to North America, REVEX decided he was no longer entitled to the same automatic high-level police protection as the King or Prince William. They downgraded his status, saying his security would be evaluated on a case-by-case basis when he visits.
And Harry has been very open that this decision devastated him. He feels his family is inherently at risk because he was born into this institution.
Right. He
has stated that the constant media interference and the resulting litigation to fight RVVEC heavily contributed to the total breakdown of his relationship with King Charles and Prince William.
Which culminated in a devastating double blow during his recent solo trip. First, a high court judge ruled that R8ish's decision to downgrade his security was legally sound and rational.
So he lost that fight too.
Exactly. Harry lost his initial attempt to appeal that ruling. Because of this, and his stated belief that the UK is unsafe without police protection, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet stayed behind in California. He made the trip completely alone.
And then comes the second blow. He's traveling to London alone. So he requests to stay at a royal residence during his visit. He just wants a safe room behind palace gates.
A pretty normal request for a prince, you'd think.
Right. But Buckingham Palace withdraws the offer. The official reason cited was too little notice to arrange the necessary hospitality and staffing.
Too little notice is a profoundly loaded phrase when you're dealing with an institution that manages hundreds of properties and staff. It's a polite, bureaucratic wall.
The contrast presented in the reporting is just stark. Think about the physical logistics of this day. As Justice Nicklin was handing down that crushing 436-page judgment remotely, throwing out his life's work, Harry was physically present in central London.
Yes, he was actually standing on stage speaking at a countdown event for the Invictus Games.
He's representing a charity he built, a cause that genuinely helps wounded veterans. He's trying to do good. Meanwhile, his legal strategy is imploding in the courts. He's staring down a $67 million void, and his own family won't give him a guest room for the night.
It is a profound juxtaposition, and you have to view that rejection through the lens of his own words.
What do you mean?
Well, in his memoir, Spare, Harry didn't hold back. He heavily criticized his family's complicity with the media. He called the press a mob of dweebs and crones and clinically diagnosable sadists.
I remember that quote, yeah.
More importantly, he accused his father's and brother's offices of actively enabling those sadists by trading stories.
There is something almost Shakespearean about this whole situation, or like a Greek tragedy. Not as a dramatic, exaggerated way, but in a literal, structural sense. Think about it. Harry's defining, overarching mission in life has been to protect his family from the press, to slay these dragons. But the exact weapon he picked up to fight them, the relentless litigation, the tell-all books, exposing the family dynamics to win the public narrative, is the very thing that has isolated him.
That is the ultimate painful irony at the heart of the sources we've reviewed today. The mechanism of his crusade became the instrument of his exile.
Wow.
By fighting the government in court over security, he lost the protection of the crown. By publicly attacking the institution to expose the media, he lost the shelter of the palace. He is left entirely exposed, fighting battles on multiple fronts without the armor he used to take for granted.
It's an incredibly heavy realization to land on. Standing alone in London, fighting a battle he just legally lost, alienated from the family just a few miles down the road. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next in the world of pop culture fallout.
To wrap up our analysis, I really want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Prince Harry's entire post-royal brand, his public identity over the last 4 years, has been heavily built upon a narrative of media victimization and the righteous pursuit of truth against a corrupt establishment.
Right.
But what happens to that brand when the highest courts of his home country legally dismiss his ultimate crusade? If the justice system looks at the evidence and says the proof just isn't there, does the foundation of his narrative collapse? Did the dragons he tried to slay end up burning his empire to the ground?
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.